I'm well. I'm well, Lewis. How are you?
I am very well, thank you. And I'm especially well because today we are joined by a special guest. How are you doing, Kez?
Yeah, I'm doing great, thanks. How are you guys?
Amazing.
It's I've been having some snow here in the Midlands, so that's always an exciting time.
Lucky you.
Yeah, Scotland's quite cold, especially in Glasgow.
But no snow.
So yeah. No.
Well, I mean, I'm thrilled by the snow anyway. I keep looking outside and thinking, maybe tomorrow I'll be able to not go to work, and then realizing I have to work from home and think, oh, shit. It's not likely there's going to be snow stopping me from getting my way to the office in the house.
Unless you leave a window open or something.
Oh, yes. What I need to do is I need to put a window in on my landing, and then deliberately leave it open so a big snowdrift forms in my hallway.
Yeah.
Preventing me from using half my house.
And leave some carrots for Rudolph and that, and let some cookies and just make it a really special day for yourself.
Yeah, that's what I need to do. Make myself a special personal holiday on January the 26th, where I open the window and let it snow inside. It'd be great.
Amazing. But anyway.
Anyway, Kez, we are talking today because you are our brand new sponsor, so thank you for sponsoring us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yes, well, of course, you are the owner, founder... I was going to say runner, that's not at all the right word. You are the owner and founder of Right Side Yarns, aren't you?
I am indeed.
Yes, and of course you it's hand-dyed yarn in a small local business in the Scottish borders, am I right?
Yeah, that's right.
Fantastic. Well, we've got a couple of questions for you, if you don't mind, because, this is an interrogation, and we will be taking notes on what you say. So, right, I think let's just dive into it, if that's right with everybody.
Amazing.
Fantastic. Kez, what made you really want to get started in dyeing your own yarn and starting out a little business with it and doing it that way?
Really, it just all fell in my lap. I'd been gifted some yarn and some dye and gave it a shot and just fell in love with it. And I happened to be friends with the local yarn shop owner. So when she saw my yarn, she was like, look, if you ever want to sell it, let me know. I'll stock it for you. And that was that. I just went, well, wow, okay, let's do this.
Oh, that's really cool, yeah.
Amazing.
No, I know it's something that I know people do it as a hobby, and a couple of times every now and then, because Chloe, obviously, cares, and I'm sure by now people listening to our podcast know, but Chloe is also into crochet, and so I was thinking, oh, right, well, maybe it was something we could do as a bit of a hobby. And then Chloe says, oh yeah, by the way, there's this business I really like where she just started dyeing yarn in her house. It's sorry, she did what? And it just sort of grew and grew and grew, and that's kind of amazing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's I think it's when you start knitting or crochet, it's 9 times out of 10 you go, right, I want to learn how to dye and I want to learn how to spin and yeah, so you do find a lot of people do it as a hobby. Because there's something great, when you go to knit something and you can go, I want this colour, and you just go and dye it yourself, then it's pretty special.
Yeah. No, it sounds great, yeah.
Yeah. I've got a sort of double question. One, there's a planned question, and as I'm reading it, I've got a question myself. The first question is, could you explain to me what a colourway is? Because I'm not entirely sure what that is, and for anyone that doesn't know, I think it'd be really sort of interesting.
It's literally just the colour of the yarn. So, you want a purple colourway, you dye it purple, but there's so many different ways to dye yarn. You don't really just say purple yarn, because it could be 4 different colours in one. So yeah, it's just the colour, basically. I don't know why it's called colourway.
That wasn't one of the official sanctioned questions, so don't blame Lewis for that. That is purely my own ignorance from that. And my second question is, what is your favourite colourway that you've made?
It would have to be Warlock, because it's just a really cool colour, but it was also a total accident. I'd been dyeing up one of my other colourways, Rainbow Twist, and I've got 2 pots of dye that one's red and one's brown, but the brown looks red and the red looks brown. And so I picked up the wrong one and chucked it on and went, oh shit, that's what I'm going to do. I've fucked the yarn. I can't use that now. And I had another pot of dye that I'd not tried yet, and I thought, right, let's chuck that on, and then I can see what it looks like. And out came Warlock, and it's like probably been my most successful colourway, all born out of this total accident. So yeah, definitely my favourite.
Brilliant.
Well, that is those are some of like my. I'm making a bit of a leap here, but if we all hold hands and stick together, then we'll be fine. It's one of my some of my favourite sort of stories are like these ones where people accidentally do things and accidentally invent things. Like I think it was cornflakes were like accidentally made. There was a guy trying to make bread, and he sort of left the bread for a bit too long, and he thought, I reckon you could put some milk on that and have it as some breakfast cereal, and thus cornflakes were made. I think it's these sort of accidental discoveries that often they're just kind of the most ingenious in a way.
Have you just got confused about penicillin and cornflakes? Because I'm sure that's how penicillin was made, wasn't it?
It was.
It was a total accident, wasn't it?
Google it.
Wow, Lewis's famous group therapy.
Well, cornflakes an accident. Cornflakes are an accident, yeah. Oh.
That's
Oh
kills.
no, I was absolutely no idea. I was completely wrong about the bread. He left some cooked wheat to sit. You know when you cook some wheat and then you leave it on the side?
Oh yeah, do that all the time.
Every day.
I'm sorry. The second half of the sentence is insane. They left some cooked wheat to sit while they attended to some pressing matters at the sanitarium. Question: is cornflakes a big thing to deal with at the sanitarium? Or
I mean, it sounds like the opening line to like a Brothers Grimm story or something like that.
Yeah, it does. And
Wow.
deep in the sanitarium, there's a witch that's got like a house made of gingerbread or something.
Cornflakes.
You get that typed up. A house of cornflakes.
Well, Kez, now that we are 100% clear on what a colourway is, have you got any cool new ones in the pipeline that you're excited to talk about?
I'm really like spontaneous, so I don't really plan my colourways at all. I just kind of one night I'll go, oh, I really want to use like purple, and then either it's a disaster or there's a new colourway. So there will be. There's always more in the future, but yeah.
No, that sounds really cool. I admire that very much.
I have a question. Can you get your yarn in like any brick and mortar stores?
You can, yes. My local yarn store, as I was saying before, Unwind Yarns in Gala, stock my yarn at the moment, and hopefully there'll be more in future. But that's it at the moment, yeah.
Fantastic.
Cool. I imagine it must be quite sort of surreal to like go into a store and see like I made that in my house. Do you know what I mean? It's
totally bizarre. The first time I walked in and like, because she sort of has quite a few different indie dyers in there, and I've been knitting for a while, and of course you always go in and they're like the coveted yarns that you just go and stare at them, and then there's mine sat next to them, and you're just like, that is mental. Just mental.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. That does sound really cool. Speaking of cool things about yarn, what is your favourite aspect about running Right Side Yarns?
Just getting to play with colour. I've never been very creative. I don't draw or paint. I don't do any of the sort of traditional artist stuff. So when I discovered dyeing yarn, it was like, just a really nice creative outlet. So yeah, that's probably my favourite part. Just going in and chucking some colour on some yarn and seeing what happens.
That sounds really cool. Yeah.
Well, just to keep with the through line, what's your least favourite aspect of running Right Side Yarns?
Honestly, the running of the business, there's probably nothing that's that bad. I mean, it's no very fun keeping track of income and outgoings and all that. But I think the hardest part is probably finding time, because I'm a stay-at-home mum. I've got 2 kids at home, of course 24/7 at the moment because of COVID and all that. So yeah, I have to kind of squeeze it all into a couple of hours in the evening, and that's probably the most difficult thing about it.
Yeah.
I actually gave this a bit of thought before I sent the document over to you, and I was like, what's our least favourite aspect of running the business? And I thought, what could it possibly be? And the thing that came to mind was, it has got to be taxes.
Yeah.
Because I know that's my least favourite part of like being an actor, being a writer, is the fact that I have to sit down once a year and think, oh god, I've got to like look at all of these stressful numbers as they go in and out of my bank account.
Yeah.
And somehow do my taxes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I am not an organised person, so yeah, it's it's not very fun because it's all just everywhere, a total mess.
No, I know exactly what you mean. I'm not a particularly organised person either, and it comes to sort of tax season, and sort of open the big folder in which I throw everything, all the invoices and all the all the pay slips and everything, and I think, oh Jesus, there is no order in this box. I've been deluding myself for the last year by putting everything in this one box, and now I've got no idea what's going on. That's the reason it takes. I mean, it'd take like 20 minutes if I actually had my shit together.
Yeah.
But it's because the box is a nightmare. That's the problem.
You so seldom do, though.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Kez, right. We've spoken very briefly about... Well, I was going to say we've spoken briefly about invention, but like... Actually, no, I'm going to say we have. That's a bold statement, but I'm going for it. So when you invented... See, this is a good link. When you invented the name Right Side Yarns, where did the idea come from? What made you put those words together?
It's... The right side is... It's like a knitting phrase, essentially. So you've got your right side of your knitting and your wrong side. The right side's the pretty side, the side you want to see. And that's really where it came from. I'm not very good at thinking up names. It was a real struggle. It probably took 2-3 weeks just to think up that. So yeah.
Well, I mean, it's really catchy. Really catchy.
It is catchy. Yeah, I remember Danny and I had phone calls before we eventually came up with Shouting into the Void. Which, we eventually got there somehow.
Yeah, some of the options were just, like, shocking.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like, oh, God, I'm so glad.
I imagine one day we'll stumble across a list of them and be like, thank God we didn't name the podcast any of these other things.
Yeah. Someone said we should have called ourselves Desert Island Dicks. Which would have been...
That would have been accurate, I suppose.
Sure.
Yeah. To go back to the sort of interrogational part of the interview, where do you see the business in 5 years?
It would be really nice to have it stocked in a few more bricks and mortar stores. Wholesale orders are fab. And it's a lot easier to sell when it's right in front of somebody than it is online, because yarn cement is similar with clothes. You want to be able to feel it. You want to be able to see it in person, see the colours. So yeah, that would be the ideal, is to have at least a few stores. I'd love to have a studio that's outside of my home, because dyeing in the kitchen is not the most ideal, especially with kids around.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be great. If I'm not looking to be a millionaire off of this. That's never going to happen. But yeah.
Well, never say never.
Well, we'll see.
No, I know certainly what you mean about having your yarn in sort of brick and mortar stores, because that's like recently Chloe did a commission of something she crocheted, and we were looking at buying the yarn online because the person wanted it in these very specific colours, and I was thinking, well, yeah, great, the yarn says it's dusk yellow, but what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
There's a picture on your phone and you're thinking, well, what the hell does that mean? That means nothing. So instead, you kind of want to go into a store and hold it in your hand and think, yeah, I can tell, I can feel it's good quality yarn, and it's a beautiful colour and whatever it might be.
Yeah, totally. And every screen's different. You could look at it on your phone and it'll be one colour, and you look at it on your computer and it's totally different. So it's difficult.
Completely, yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, it's like that nightmare meme that was that dress. Do you remember?
Oh God, yeah, blue.
Oh, yeah.
What is it?
The
White and
dress.
blue or gold or something stupid? Yeah.
I'm certain
Sounds
that,
like chemistry Go on.
I'm certain that they paid people to say that it was white and gold. Just like just a few people peppered amongst communities.
No, if you looked at
Like
it
a
long
really
enough,
long
it was
shot.
definitely gold.
No.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can find a picture of the
Yeah.
dress. What is it called? Golden white dress.
Yeah, it's definitely. You could see it.
Oh, actually no, because these pictures, some of them look golden white, some of them look blue and black. Oh, this is very stressful.
Were people
apparently the
were,
actual
were people
picture of
just
it-
like not looking at the same picture? Is that what it was?
Okay, right. The original photo is kind of blue and kind of goldish, but then in like a brighter room, it starts to look white and yellow. I think that's the idea, is if you're in a bright room looking at it. Does that make sense?
No.
I'm looking at it
No.
because I've googled golden white dress, and now it's just lots of pictures of confusing dresses.
I mean, like, typing in golden white dress might be a bit vague for what you're trying.
Well, I mean, you say this. The top 3 rows are all exactly the thing I'm looking for. So,
Well, I stand corrected.
and so you should. Right, now that we've spoken at length on an audio format about something that you can't see, Kez, we've spoken a lot on the podcast about how Danny lives his life in Glasgow, and about how he goes to the co-op sometimes, and he's just generally curious. So, how do you find life sort of being down at the Scottish border and dying sort of? Because I know little about even a town a mile away from my house. What's it like sort of down at the Scottish border trying to source like yarn or dye or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, there is a local mill that does do yarn, but no, I don't get my yarn from there. I probably will look at doing that at some point. No, it's nice. It's slow living. It's great scenery. I love the Scottish borders, I have to say.
I have not been. I'm sure it's lovely.
It is.
I've passed through
You
it.
should come visit. You've passed through it, have you?
I've passed through it. It was nice, but it's not like, you know, I didn't cross the English border and be like, oh my god, look at this place. Yeah. But yeah, I don't have the patience for like crocheting or like using yarn. My mum is like really really good at it. She could. I'm not going to big her up too much because you know her head's big enough. But what would you say to someone who maybe is interested in it but doesn't really know how to sort of start with it, and maybe doesn't have the patience like myself to get into like crocheting or like using yarn in any way?
Well, honestly, I mean, I bought the stuff one day and then I sat down on YouTube, and there was a lot of swearing and I just about chucked it all away. But if you really want to do it, it's so worth it. It's one of the best hobbies, I think. I mean, you're sat there with a pointy sticks and some yarn, and then you can come out with a jumper or, you know, a pair of socks. Like, it's such a unique hobby, and the community is amazing. Like, I didn't realise, you know, you think of knitting, when you're not in it, you think of knitting and you see your granny. But actually, it's a massive worldwide community, and it's not just grannies. I mean, you've got everyone from all walks of life. And it's such a supportive community as well. So, no, absolutely.
I mean, that's a really fair point, because I've never met anyone that like crochets or knits that's like an arsehole. So I've yet to experience that, so I think you might have a good point there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think you make a really good point about it being like a much more inclusive community than you might first consider. I think you'd say the words knitting group or crochet group or something, and it conjures up a very specific image in your mind. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think, I knitted Chloe a hat, and I'm just some dickhead from the Midlands with barely enough dexterity to like to write my name on a piece of paper. But do you know what I mean? And I think it's just it is a much more inclusive, much more chilled out thing. And at the end of the day, you're making a pair of socks or something. It's really chilled out. I think it's important to take your mind off, especially with all the recent things that have been going on. It's important to sort of just put your phone down for a bit and do something that isn't on your phone, and instead you're just like, oh, I'm just making a nice pair of purple socks.
Absolutely. I'm sure they've done studies and they've found that it's really good for your mental health. It can reduce stress. It's good for anxiety and depression. It's also good for dexterity. I've heard a lot of surgeons actually knit or crochet because it's really good for your hands.
Wow.
That is fantastic. I had no idea at all. I'm sorry, that's just conjured into my mind a completely unrelated story. When I was doing my GCSEs, I had this history teacher, and he would go on and on and on about how quickly your hands could write. but in the most confusing ways possible. He would talk about, make sure you get a better pen for the history exam, make sure you get this for the history exam, etc, etc, etc. And it's like, right, okay, thanks, sir. And then the morning of our history exam, he'd bought a load of bananas, because he was like, yeah, the potassium in these bananas will mean that you can write really quickly. So maybe the lesson is to eat a load of bananas and then knit a jumper?
Yeah.
Is that the lesson to take away from this?
I won't ask you to show you're working on that conclusion. It's because I didn't get to there. You know.
Well, I think we've gotten this far in the podcast without saying the C word, which is, of course, coronavirus. So, how has coronavirus sort of affected Right Side Yarns? Has it sort of put a bit of a damper on things? Has it pressed the I'm going to say the go pedal? That's not really the right word, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, I don't know, really. I mean, I initially was going to launch straight into the bricks and mortar store and then kind of build up to my online site. In the end, first lockdown happened, I think, a month or two before I launched. So my whole time in business has been during COVID. I don't really know any different. I mean, it might have actually been quite good for me because people are at home. They're not, they weren't working. I know quite a lot of people bought yarn that hadn't knit in years and were like, right, let's get back into it now that I've got a bit of time. So if anything, it might have even been quite good for me, but I don't know. Like, over the next few years, I'll find out how different it is, hopefully, fingers crossed, when COVID sort of starts to bugger off. But
yeah,
definitely.
I think we're all desperately waiting for that fateful day.
yeah,
Absolutely.
We've all had the jab. We can all just be like, right, I'm going to the beach and I'm going to stand 1.5 meters away from someone instead of 2, and that's going to be okay.
it's going to be really weird.
I wouldn't go to the
It will be
beach
weird.
when there was no pandemic. I mean, so
I mean, that's true, yeah. A beach that I can drive to would be Llandudno, which is it's a cold, rainy beach, to be honest with you.
not just the weather, just the people.
It's the sand. I hate sand.
Yeah.
Sandy feet.
Yeah,
It's
that's
horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible.
My personal favourite thing about the beach, specifically the one at Llandudno, is the sort of the sandy beach, which you don't want to go on because sand in your shoes and sand everywhere. And then there's also the rocky beach, which 9 times out of 10 is literally covered in jellyfish. For some reason, jellyfish live nearby North Wales, apparently. And so, on a fairly regular basis, jellyfish just kind of wash up onto the beach.
Oh,
And so
lovely.
you're there walking along the pier tking, that's about 6 jellyfish just on the rocks. That's really weird.
That is weird.
Wouldn't being a jellyfish just be it's so good?
It'd be great. just floating through the ocean. You haven't got to think about anything.
Yeah, you just
You
sort
haven't got
of,
to deal with like taxes or capitalism.
and you live forever, don't you?
Well,
Yeah,
I think
jellyfish
some
live
do.
forever, don't they? Yeah.
I don't think they all do.
Yeah. So everyone's sort of bitterly looking at Gary, who's like got the immortality gene. just floating. He lives forever, that bastard, honestly. But, I have no idea what I'm talking about now. Yeah, but on brand. We're on brand for that.
Yeah, that is very much on brand. Talking about nonsense, about jellyfish. I think now I have finally somehow run out of questions.
I have
for
as
Kez.
well.
It has been absolutely wonderful speaking to you, Kez.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you very
so much for having me.
answering our questions. You're more than welcome. Thank you for putting up with talking about jellyfish, penicillin, and cornflakes. I hope it was been much more chilled out because I know you're a bit nervous, but I'm glad we're all sorted.
Yeah, no, it's been great. Thanks very much.
No, you're more than welcome. I think in that case we might have to say goodbye to the listeners.
It's not a radio show, Lewis. Jesus Christ. All we have to do is press stop recording.
Oh god, it's been so long since we've interviewed someone. I can't remember what comes next.
Should we do some shilling?
Yeah, we can do a bit of shilling. Go on then.
Kez, do you want to do some shilling?
Yeah, well, head over to rightsideyarns.co.uk and buy all of my yarn, please. That'd be great.
Yes, and you can use use
yeah,
the discount code VOID15.
that's
Capital
right.
V and a 1 and a 5. The numbers, not the letters. For 15% off.
I forgot about that.
And you can also get free shipping, can't you, over a certain threshold?
You
so check that
can
out.
over 30.
So go and check out Right Side Yarns.
Please do.
Yes. Lovely stuff. See, I've got it all stored away, all squirreled away. These little nuggets of facts in my brain.
Excellent. Well, we're on the internet if you want to look for us. We've got. Do you want to do? I always do it, Lewis. You do it. I can't be bothered. I'm done.
Okay. Danny and I both have link trees. You can go to linktr.ee/Lewis_Brindley for me, or at O'Hiram for Danny, or at Shouting Into the Void for the podcast as a whole. You can find our social media, our merch stores, our Patreon, our everything. We've got loads of bits and bobs out there. Go and take a look. It would mean the absolute world to us. Thank you very much. I think I nailed that in like 10 seconds.
You
or
did.
less.
You
I'm
did
confident.
really well. I threw a curveball.
Fantastic.
You caught it. It was amazing.
Indeed. In that case, thank you very much for listening, everybody. This is going out on Friday. This one, Dan.
I think Friday. Yep.
Yes, Friday. This one. So we'll see you on Sunday, where we're going to be talking about the Star Wars sequels.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you again for talking to us, Kez.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for listening, everybody.
Bye.